I'm author Mark Muncy,
And I'm author Erika Lance.
and this is Eerie Travels. Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers.
Oh, wow.
We are back. We are back, and we're going to create controversy again.
Yes,
Love it.
because, well, let's face it, our most popular episode, besides Cocaine Bear, our first episode, we do have a decent retention rate, so thank you all for listening to us, and we've
Yes.
grown quite a bit, and we're still growing, and we love meeting you all at events and stuff like that, and the feedback we're getting in emails and messages is fantastic. But oh my goodness, the episode that gets the most response, the one that gets the most intense arguments, was our vampires episode.
The vampires episode. Oh, we should have videos coming out around this time, I think, from my visit to Forks, because I went up to the capital city of the Cullen clan to where all the magic began for my argument. And so I did a little videoing for you guys when I was up there. So that should be fun.
And I'm all mad we went through Shreveport and there was no Fantasia.
That's true. I think there were some Tampa listeners that came to a show, and I unfortunately wasn't able to make that show, but I am going to be down in Tampa for Spookala in October. So if you're out there, travelers, and I don't know how far you come, we're going to be listing all of our shows, but you know what we'll probably do maybe is, Mark, why don't we throw on there which of us is going to be at those shows?
Yeah.
So that
some one of us are at, some of them where both of us are at.
Yeah, because there's a video apparently I need to be in possession of. So I would love to have that traveler that brought it to Mark and refused to give it to him, which I understand. You know, I'm just saying, if you're bringing gifts, Mark's got a lot of bookshelves. It could get lost if it's for me. I'm just saying.
I can get it to her. So that's the other thing. So
yeah, he says that unless he really likes it.
I know the 3 knocks to get into the secret mountain headquarters. So
that's true, which is not a travel spot.
No.
Let's do some breaking news before we start this controversy. What do you say?
All right, that sounds fantastic. Let's do it. We have breaking news?
Yes. Okay, from our friends at Paranormality Magazine, and this is the travel part of this episode, because what we're about to talk about, you really can't travel to. So they have listed the most haunted libraries in the United States.
Oh, my goodness.
And some of them are in Evansville, Indiana, Peoria, Illinois. I'm not saying that right. Go ahead, email, correct me. Alameda, California, Barnstable, Massachusetts, Baltimore, Maryland, Athens, Ohio, Bates College, Lewiston, Maine, and Tarrytown, New York, apparently are the most haunted libraries in the US. So we'll link through the article from our friends at Paranormality, so you can travel if you're up and around there. That would be very cool. And don't forget that Paranormality Magazine, if you use the code TRAVELS, offers you a discount on everything on their site. So you can get shirts, articles, subscribe. They have such awesome, fun things that if you want to break from normal news, because
and you can vote for your favorite paranormal podcast. Feel free to vote.
Oh, yeah. Vote for us. We'd like that. We'd love to hit it.
Vote for us.
Yes. Vote for us. Vote for us. Okay.
All right.
So let's talk about the controversy, because this is the Howl at the Moon episode. You decided you thought you could win the werewolf contest with me.
I think I can, because I think I have the greatest cinematic werewolf.
Okay. Well, let's talk about where do we first see werewolves? Because I know we have American Werewolf in London, which at the time, well, it's still an amazing film. Amazing.
Are you talking movie-wise, or are we going to go back historically? So,
well, I think if we're going to go back historically, the term werewolf meant something very different in history.
Yeah, it meant, skin changer, and then it became loup-garou, which was the werewolf comes from, but lycanthrope was the original word, and that was the guy who could roll in the skin of a wolf and turn into a wolf, and that goes back to Roman times. and we think it predates that even, because we've got Egyptian gods with wolf heads, and we've got Babylonians with wolf heads and things like that. So
yeah, and there's been shapeshifters. They also used the term werewolf for a while to mean somebody who did egregious murders and stuff like that. That's what the terms werewolf and vampire kind of started being thrown around too, as somebody that did something that could not possibly be human. They had to be animalistic because of how they killed people and stuff like that. So, but yes, it goes back to shape-shifting has been around historically for a very long time.
Yeah, and there's so many crazy, we're going to stick with werewolves, very specific. Of course, we are going to do a deep dive coming up on the Beast of Gévaudan, which is an amazing historical, werewolf encounter. They did a fun movie about that called Brotherhood of the Wolf, which is incredible. It is the best martial arts historical fiction based on historical fact. It's one of those, it defies 40 genres, and you just can't stop but watch it and love it. So
yes. So let's talk about for us, what is the first werewolf you remember seeing in the movies or on TV?
I actually remember watching the great Dr. Paul Bearer, with his creature feature. Actually, this was pre that. So this is West Virginia. So this would have been Dr. Creep up in Ohio, broadcasting out of Ohio. And we'd pick him up in our woods in Kentucky when I'd go there on the weekends, and he would do his creep show. And one of the ones he showed was the original Lon Chaney Wolfman. And that was the first one I remember seeing. And
so that was a black and white.
Yes.
And that was pretty intense. So for me, it was American Werewolf in London. And I remember, because the special effects at the time, we got to go back, and we have, all of the stuff that you can do now, but back then you had to actually do it. It wasn't something, there wasn't like things you could generate over it and things like you had to actually do the makeup.
Yep. And it's crazy, the things like the Jack Pierce makeup for our original Wolfman had Lon Chaney Jr. just sitting in the chair, and they slowly stage filmed and faded him in and out, where they added the different things to him. And then you get American Werewolf in London, you get Rick Baker, which he won so many Academy Awards for that. They invented a category for him for that. So
and that was in 1981, American Werewolf in London.
Yep. And it's it has the best transformation of all time. I don't think it's been topped. I mean, there are others that are, really good transformations. I think the one in Ginger Snaps was amazing. But I love the classics. Werewolf of London, one of my all-time favorites was Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. That was like when suddenly you talk about shared cinematic universe from Marvel. That happened long before that, gang. Universal with their monsters, they started meeting each other pretty quick. And
true.
And that was because they started doing those movie festivals long after Dracula had come out, long after Frankenstein had come out. They would put them both, and this is before home video and all that. So they would put them both together. Do you dare watch Dracula and Frankenstein together in a they would call it a creature feature, double creature feature. And then people would line up again, and suddenly these old movies were making a ton of money again. So then they started doing the combos where they would, and they House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, and it all led up to, of course, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, where they had everybody.
No, exactly.
Which Man showed up in that one. So
and I remember creature features, and there's been a ton of werewolf movies, and I'm sure we're not going to even begin to cover all of them. For instance, look, oh, my werewolf is barking. My werewolf just started barking.
So
yeah, let me get that under control. But
yeah.
So what is okay, where do you want to start then?
Okay, so I'm gonna do, you had your vampire that could not die, right? We think about, because you had to do it with the Twilight vampires, right?
I didn't have to do it. So here is the thing. If I have to pick my favorite cinematic vampire to be attached to, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pick Eric Northman. I mean, but hands down, he is probably my favorite vampire, right?
Yeah.
It's just that the truth is I still have not been disproven on this situation with the Twilight vampires. They're just, the way she wrote them was very cleverly strong. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So for me, what are the classic werewolf things that kill them? Right?
Yeah.
So
I think silver. Isn't silver like one of the main
silver's
things?
like the universal, because that kills all the things, right?
Yeah. So silver kills them. One of the things I think is a huge problem for most werewolves in the cinematic universe and even in the literary universe is that they don't remember what they did when they changed. Like that's a huge handicap of them, is they do not remember what happened when they changed.
Now, some only change, during full moons. Some can't control when they change. Some can totally control when they change and become, almost, the comic book, hero Werewolf by Night, which became the Marvel, special last year on Disney Plus. I love that the real guy's name is Jack Russell. A little on the nose there, right? Yeah. And that was very well done. If you haven't watched that, gang, definitely get some Disney Plus 7-day free trial and watch Moon Knight, and then watch the Werewolf by Night special. Those are Disney Plus exclusives and totally worth it. Worth your time. But I've got to say, there is one werewolf that I almost put at the top of the list.
Okay, but can we go through your favorites first? Because I feel like you're shooting pretty high if we give away the one that's at the top.
Okay.
So let's do some honorable mentions. Like, what are your 5?
Okay, well, my 5 would be Sookie Stackhouse's werewolf not in True Blood, but in Trick or Treat. There's a bit in the movie Trick or Treat with Sam, our wonderful Halloween icon, the little kid. There's a bit where Anna Paquin is dressed as Little Red Riding Hood, and she's with a group of friends that are all super slutty and dressing up in this town celebrating Halloween. It's one of the many. This is an anthology movie, so there's like several stories that all tie together. And she is being stalked by a guy who seems to be a vampire. He's killing people and by biting them and draining them of blood. And it's in this town that's having like a Mardi Gras style fest. It's actually a town in Ohio that celebrates Halloween very much, and it's been used a few times by several things. But in this bit, one side bit, she's out in the woods and she's luring this vampire's out chasing her, but there's a twist, and I'm spoiler alert, so skip ahead 30 seconds if you want to avoid the spoiler for one of the stories in Trick or Treat.
Okay.
But turns out that the slutty girls that are luring all the guys out in the woods they're werewolves.
Oh.
Sookie Stackhouse's first kill. And
so
the vampire guy tries to bite her, and it doesn't quite work because she's a werewolf.
Okay, so I could see why this would be on your top 5, Mark.
And and Anna Paquin being super sexy in a Red Riding Hood outfit. How can you not like that?
Okay.
What's one of your favorites? We'll alternate.
I would have to say Underworld.
Okay.
Underworld is one of my favorites. I absolutely love, and they did those off of, okay, I'm not going to say they did, those werewolves are very similar to werewolves in the White Wolf game, Werewolf, but there was a whole lawsuit, so we're not going to get ourselves entwined in that little situation.
Right.
But those werewolves they're huge and they're very, very impressive, the size of them. And they do remember when they change and things like that. And it doesn't have to be a full moon. So they don't have that limitation, which is kind of nice, but they are definitely damaged by silver, which in that particular series, the vampires figure out. Also in that series, hashtag spoiler alert, the werewolves were bred to be protectors of the vampires. And then there's a whole love story, which I'm not going to give away, but yes, they unfortunately, that doesn't work out. As any sort of thing where you try to make things do exactly what you say instead of getting their agreement, it doesn't work out.
Right.
So
now, my favorite werewolf movie of all time, they're not particularly any, stronger or faster than the normal werewolf of film, but is the great Neil Marshall's Dog Soldiers. If you've never seen that movie, you are missing out. It is one of the greatest movies of all time. It's Sean Pertwee stars. All the characters have like coded horror film names. Like one of the guys is Cadet Bruce, Lieutenant Bruce Campbell and stuff like that. It's incredible. And they basically are soldiers on maneuvers in the Scottish Highlands, and they're being put up against this super special forces team. And these are guys just regular soldiers, and it's a war games, and they've got basic fake ammo and all this stuff, and that's how the movie starts. But very quickly they find the special forces team destroyed.
Yikes.
They've been and only their commander is alive, and it's the guy who hates them. And he's like, there was only supposed to be one. And guess what? It's a pack. And so these soldiers now have to try to survive as they are being picked off one by one. They finally get to the only house in the middle of the woods. A lady who's a nature expert who's been studying these creatures saves them and takes them to the house of a family that she knows. And they're in the house, and it's a siege movie at that point. And of course, they can't find silver anywhere.
Of course not. I mean, we don't have that in our silverware anymore. A lot of old movies show people running in getting their silverware, but yeah, no, I think about if a werewolf showed up and that was the solution. Ugh.
They realize they're in the middle of the nowhere. They've got to survive the night and get out. But they also realize the reason there's no silver in the house is the reason that these things aren't moving on is because this is their house.
Oh, yikes.
And so they've got to survive the night. Probably some of the best fight sequences, but the werewolves in this are what you want your werewolves to look like. It's all done practical effects, no CGI, no nothing like this. So they're on stilts, they're hunched over. This is exactly what you picture when you picture a werewolf. And this is also when I talk to people who have seen Dogman encounters, they say this is what it looks like. When I show them this stills from this movie, that's what they see.
Interesting.
One of the cool things they do in that is to slow the werewolves down is they know they don't like bright lights. So they have a camera, like an Instamat camera, and they keep flashing pictures at them to blind them. And so the best part is at the end of the movie, they've got all the photos as the credits roll.
Oh my God, yikes. Okay, so my next one, ready?
Yeah.
Blood and Chocolate.
Wow, really?
Really, I think it's I like that movie. I think it's really sweet. One of the things that's really interesting about it is it's more of a, like, I want to say like old time romance kind of thing where she's betrothed to this lineage of her werewolf family, right?
Right.
Then she falls in love with a human. And that's what the title is about, blood, your family lineage, and chocolate, which is the human,
Yeah.
sexy human cartoonist. But I think blood and chocolate, it's very interesting because it's not trying to focus on the werewolf part of it, if that makes sense. It's
Right.
focusing on the storyline behind it, and not, like, what do you do? What do you do when your family is like, no, you're betrothed to this person, whether you like it or not? This is your human, or your wolf, and you need to do this thing. And she's like, no, but I love this other dude. And, age-old Romeo Juliet kind of story. And it kind of goes along those lines. So that's interesting in itself, right?
Very much.
So,
Very much.
I enjoy that movie very, very much. 2007. I suggest you watch it. And again, the special effects are done pretty well because they're done with makeup, which I think is huge. The more they do CGI special effects with some of these, they do a good job in Underworld, but those movies are still a little bit having some issues now is age. Like all the movies, like I was just rewatching some of the Lord of the Rings movies the other day. There's some things that are not holding up now, CGI wise, from those movies, which makes me really, really sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At least it's not American Werewolf in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie, but the effects are so bad. Yeah, don't watch that one for the effects, King. Watch that one for the story.
Yes, yes. And that it's harder because when you want to recommend movies, like we talk about watching American Werewolf in London. If you haven't seen that, you should, because again, they did it with adding the makeup. There's a lot of documentaries about what he went through having the makeup done for him, right?
Right.
So, okay. What's your next one? So we're at 2 each. What's your next one?
All right. So my next one, I think this is one we can both agree on. It's not a werewolf movie, but the werewolves in it certainly make the show. And that is What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, it is a movie. It is a movie. Remember the movie? It's got the guy.
No, I mean, I'm talking about it's not a werewolf movie. It does have werewolves in it.
Yeah.
And that was the joke about that was, werewolves, not swearwolves is probably one of the greatest lines of all time, because they have the werewolf support group that are helping each other, and then the vampires of course hate them, and they make jokes, and it is so classic. I like the one vampire deacon sells them,
oh my god,
each other's buttocks, and they're like, hey, that's not what we that's a form of greeting. that's racist. It's a joy. But the werewolves are badass. They're huge, and they are exactly what you expect.
Yes.
Oh man, they're so good.
They are. And just that movie and that TV show is so brilliantly done. It is so brilliantly written. It is so brilliantly acted. And it's one of those ones I feel like you have to watch several times to get all these little things they say. And I'm a big fan of things like doing subtitles, because a lot of the interactions they have is a little bit of talking over each other.
Yes.
And you will miss some of the funniest shit they say about each other and things like that. But it is, oh my God, hands down, one of the fun. I will agree that is a very funny. It's not on my list of the top werewolves, but it definitely is a very, very wonderful one. But I can throw one out there then like that, which is not on and we were just talking about this the other day, and when we go down the avenue of what this, so we're going to do a whole episode kind of around this show, but the werewolves on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Seth Green.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the only one, but those were some very well done werewolves. Now, they didn't remember necessarily what they did. They were definitely one that didn't remember what they did, but it was done in a way that brought the teen angst and the drama into the show. Yeah. And there's more on that we'll go over in our Buffy episode, but that was supposed to be a whole character arc and it didn't happen.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know more about that. You just got to meet Seth Green.
I did. He was fantastic, and I was telling him we loved him as Oz, of course, but I and I love that he created Robot Chicken because it was, it brought Twisted Toy Fair Theater to life, which was an old magazine thing from the magazine Toy Fair. He's like, yeah, that's totally where we stole it from. He's like, admitted we ripped it off and made it a TV show. But then we mentioned Joker from Mass Effect, and that was where we went down. And so Callie got their autograph. Seth Green, you're welcome, Callie. So and
well,
oh my
and
goodness.
we know both my puppies are named after Mass Effect because
Yep.
Holly and Garrus. So
Yeah,
that is
perfect.
one of mine and my other half's favorite games.
Yep.
But those were again understated kind of werewolves that were in there. And
Yep.
I think there's a lot of movies and shows, that have that understated werewolves that were brought in that were not
really good
necessarily
hunters in
Yeah.
that too. So which that were in one episode where they were trying to hunt them, and then they had them come back later to hunt Buffy for Slayer Fest, which was great. But that was a great episode, underrated episode.
Yes.
But okay, so my next one is a guilty pleasure.
Oh, you know what though? We need to take a quick break because we've done 3, so we'll take a quick break and come right back.
Erie, Appalachia. Gear up for a frightful jaunt into the darkest reaches of the ancient Appalachians. Folks deep within the Appalachian hollers lean close to the campfire to share stories of the inexplicable with hushed awe. Monsters rumbling in the hills, strange lights darting through the pitch black night sky, horrible occurrences almost ineffable in their bizarre tragedy. Tall tales, you might say. Tell that to the Flatwoods monster in Braxton County, West Virginia, or the Goat Man of Louisville. Look into his humanoid eyes and let him know you don't believe. And what of those apparitions in Mammoth Cave's Corpse Rock, or the Satan spawn known as the Jersey Devil? How do you respond when confronted by these mysteries? From the metaphysical energy that swirls near Serpent Mound in Ohio to Point Pleasant's Mothman legacy, Mark Muncy and Carrie Schultz explore the dark history lurking in the shadows of Appalachia. Read by Mark Muncy, author and experts on strange folklore with appearances on shows such as Ancient Aliens, The Curse of Robert the Doll, and many, many more.
Greetings, mortals and others. I'm Dick Terhune, the voice from hell. I work with haunted attractions all over the US, Canada, and Europe to increase audiences and enhance their experience with highly effective commercials, narrations, animatronic character voices, whatever your dark heart desires. Let me help you do more, scare more, profit more. Find out more at Voice from Hell on Facebook and at voicefromhell.com.
We're back, and we're on to your next one, Mark.
Yeah, this is a guilty pleasure.
Okay.
I think when I say it, if you haven't seen it, you need to put it on your list.
Okay.
And it spawned a sequel, and I sometimes think the sequel is actually better than the original in this one. But that is now some of these werewolf movies we're talking about are unintentionally hilarious. Right.
Yes.
Because they get bad in places like American Werewolf in Paris was meant as a comedy, and American Werewolf in Horror was kind of meant as a horror comedy. But there are bits in Paris that are just so bad CGI that you laugh at those. But this one was intentionally a comedy, and that is Wolf Cop. You've never heard of Wolf Cop?
I'm looking it up right now as we're talking. Wolf Cop.
Booze, buddy cop, puns, and it even actually has a decent mystery story to it.
Oh my God. So there were 2 of them, one in 2014 and another Wolf Cop in 2016.
Spoiler, nothing bad happens to him in the first one. So how do you do a sequel to a movie where the guy dies? Well, we do another Wolf Cop.
A series of strange and violent events begin to occur. An alcoholic policeman realizes that he's been turned into a werewolf as part of a larger plan. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I am waiting for Joe Bob to host that on Shudder one night, because it is probably it is just a joy to watch. And in promoting this movie, the guy would come in costume and in character to television stations and do interviews as Wolf Cop.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy, gang. I don't want to spoil anything of that for you. Just
I don't even,
it
there are
is the
no
perfect
words.
B movie. It is the
Yeah.
perfect B movie.
I don't
Horror
know
comedy
how that
gold.
made your list, but
No, it's a joy. I mean, it's it and the other one we really enjoyed was Werewolves Within, which is based on the old card game that you play at cons and stuff, where somebody is a werewolf and you have to, where you might be a werewolf and stuff like that, and you have to figure out who's the you have to point out, all right, this person's the killer, this person's the killer, and then you might have killed the wrong person, and the only person who could have saved you killed. But they did a movie about it, and it starred Melania Weintraub, who we love. She was the AT&T girl for years, but she's also the voice of Squirrel Girl on the Squirrel Girl podcast. So we're a big fan of hers, and she did that, and that even has our buddy Guillermo in a cameo in it. So as one of the potential, is he a werewolf?
if we're just gonna throw cheesy ones in, this isn't on my list, but there's a very, very poetic, deeply emotional werewolf movie called My Mom's a Werewolf from 1989.
That one and Teen Wolf right there. Right
Yeah.
there. Same level.
Same level. After being bitten by a mysterious pet shop owner, housewife Leslie begins a gruesome transformation into a werewolf. Her only hope is her young daughter Jennifer, who races against time to stop Leslie from turning into an animal for good.
Yep.
Yeah. That happened.
Yep. And then we had Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox, of course.
And Teen Wolf 2 with Bateman.
Yeah, just Bateman. Yep.
Yeah.
And, fun movies, great movie, very 80s. Very 80s. All right, I'm gonna go serious again though.
Okay.
So for my next one that just thrilled me was, of course, starring the great Corey Haim and Gary Busey. Stephen King's Cycle of the Werewolf turned into a movie called Silver Bullet.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Probably one of the first where a kid is in a wheelchair and actually the hero of the movie, because mostly kids in wheelchairs are the sidekick at most. So this was the first time where it was actually he was the hero, and I loved that as a kid with a few disabilities of my own, that I identified with that quite a bit. So
Yeah. No, I can get with that. Huge Corey Haim fan. I'm sorry we lost him as early as we did.
oh yes, sad.
Yes, very sad. He was very, very awesome. I really do have to put this out here. So
Yeah.
The Twilight Werewolves, I'm just saying, I
yeah.
have to.
I knew you were gonna go
because
there.
my daughter for so many years was Team Jacob, which I think anybody who wants a healthy relationship in life should be.
Yeah, 100%. He was the smarter choice.
I have to say that I love the putting this into a legend, putting into a legend of a tribe. Like there's a lot about Twilight. There's stuff, and but I will say that the workaround. So going to Forks now, I can tell you that is the tribe that's up there. She did a lot of research on this when it wasn't made up. Like the beaches up there are completely Indian land. You can go on them some days, you can't go on them others. Like when COVID hit, they locked off all the roads because they didn't want it anywhere near the reservations and the things like that. So all of these, La Push is a beach up there, that is on the Indian land. So I will say that, like, now having been there and seeing some of the research and meeting some of the people in the town and going up to these amazing beaches and just wow, right, is but the story behind the wolves and how they come to protect the tribe, and that's what triggers their transforming, and that they're a group together and stuff like that. Take out all the other drama stuff, but the wolves are very impressive in that movie. And again, not easily killed. They don't get killed by being shot by silver and stuff like that. You know, it takes the strength of these very large creatures to kill them, you know. So it's just a thing. They don't have a lot of things there. So I'm not going to put them on the top of my list, but I had to put them near the top of my list.
Yep.
So everybody feel free to send your hate mail and comments, whatever.
Yep.
It's there.
Well, it's, you know, it's like the werewolf and cabin in the woods. It's not the important part of the movie, but it is a very pivotal part of the movie and the inspiration for the movie. So, you know, they saw the werewolf fighting the unicorn and there's like, we want to write a movie that world happens in. So
Yeah.
that was very cool that they did that. All right. So I've got to mention my werewolf now that I've been holding off on.
Okay.
And that is the movie Monster Squad.
Really?
Wolfman's got nards, man.
Okay.
So yes, he does have nards that you can kick him in, but they blow him up with dynamite and he pieces himself back together.
That's true.
They try all the things, and he's very much Dracula's slave at this point. They went the universe. This was really the first Universal monster recombining since Abbott and Costello, and again they did it with kids, and I loved. It came out the same day as Lost Boys.
Oh,
And
Lost Boys.
Lost Boys dominated the box office, and this poor movie didn't have a chance. But I love that it became a cult classic on video, and it brought us all, you know, Duncan Regehr's Dracula, and this amazing werewolf. And the only thing is he still gets killed by a silver bullet, but it takes a silver bullet to kill him. So,
Yeah. Well, and that's the downfall of a lot of, you know, I hate to say it, but that's kind of the downfall of a lot of werewolves, right? Is the silver bullet, right? That takes them out.
And I think Callie will trump us both, but she is, or they are unavailable to jump on.
What would they trump us with? What do you think?
Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. That was what they wanted me to say. So
Howling 2, okay.
Starring Christopher Lee. And Sybil Danning. And Sybil Danning's werewolves are these super werewolves. Silver does not hurt them. They're immune. They have all the strengths and all the powers of the werewolves. They run in packs. They also have political power. They've ruled some of the laws and run some of the countries from behind the scenes and all that.
Wow.
So pretty epic stuff here. Now the craziest thing about them is the only thing that can kill them, not silver, and it takes a while for the people to figure it out, is something more pure than silver. It has to be titanium.
Oh.
So it's a terrible movie. There's no reason to watch it whatsoever.
So we recommend you grab a bag of popcorn.
Yep, watch it for Christopher Lee, and Sybil Danning shows off her ample talents many times. So.
Okay. So not strong vampire, not recommended. I mean, strong werewolf, not recommended. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to go with one that I very much enjoy. I do want to do an honorable mention in a way. True Blood.
True Blood's great.
True Blood has some of the most delicious looking werewolves that ever existed. And I actually, again, like the pack and the storyline and stuff like that, I like how they did that. I you know, when it's a lone werewolf, that's one thing, but when there's a pack, there's a hierarchy, there's a nature to it. What I think is really interesting about the whole dynamic, though, is there are so many stories, and I kind of wonder where this comes from. Maybe you know, where werewolves are subservient to vampires.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Like Where did that started?
That
Somewhere.
came from the Universal Monsters werewolf movies, because Lon Chaney Jr. played the tortured Larry Talbot, and Dracula would often use him with his ring, his magic ring, and that was where Dracula's magic ring came. Dracula didn't have a magic ring in the early movies and stuff. Suddenly he had it, and that's where it comes from. I think I could be wrong on that, but that seems to be where it originated.
Please feel free to tell us if you know, because I think it's just really interesting that somehow is a creature, because you don't see Frankenstein, you don't see the Mummy, you don't see a lot of these other kind of monsters, quote unquote, being subservient to vampires. But there's for some reason werewolves very much are portrayed as sort of pets, for lack of a better way of putting it, or guardians for the daylight guardians for the vampire. So shout out True Blood, Joe Montalega. Is that how you say his name? Doesn't matter. I enjoy him thoroughly. I also, even though we're only talking about werewolves, enjoyed the Werepanthers and stuff in True Blood. So
yeah.
I just huge shout out there. You have a Erika from Mary Travels Gold Star. So but one of my favorite movies, and I think a lot of this is the cast and stuff, is the Wolfman.
OG or the Benicio.
The Benicio del Toro.
Yes.
Benicio del Toro, Emily Blunt, our amazing friend Sir Anthony Hopkins. But that was one of the, I thought that was amazing, because that was a very huge cast, absolutely wonderful. But it was a really fun set in older times kind of wolf movie. It
was very well done, a faithful updating of the original, but making it for modern audiences, unlike Von Helsing, where it was which was fun, but it was like watching action figures with monsters. It was literally like an 11-year-old throwing action figures together. Oh, the werewolf's gonna fight, and then the vampire's gonna fight, and then oh, there's a bridge, and they got to get across the bridge. No. Instead of running across the bridge, they'll swing across the bridge. You can tell Stephen Summers was just having crazy time with that one. So.
No, and I think sometimes on those things they look at what's on paper, and then it's not paper. It's like, so it just doesn't work anyway.
Yeah, my honorable mention is Ginger Snaps, which was very great movie series of teenage girls turning into werewolves and just dealing with teenage girl problems on top of that. So,
and there's Teen Wolf has been made into a really good TV series.
Yep,
it's very popular. There's another one that oh my gosh, just because my brain and our lovely Buffy is part of it, that just came out, and I'm going to look it up here.
For obscure ones, one of my favorites is a movie called Where, W-E-R. And that one's, you're a lawyer and you're defending a werewolf, and in a crime, in a trial. So very classic. Company of Wolves, another one with the great Angela Lansbury. It's basically a creepy Red Riding Hood.
Yeah. Oh yes. Wolfpack is the name of the show. It's on Paramount.
Oh yes, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, and that's got Sarah Michelle.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It has Buffy. It has Buffy. You gotta love ones that have Buffy.
Like Werewolf adjacent was Wolfen. Do you remember that one?
I do not, but I can't believe you just said the word.
It was based on a old novel where this detective's trying to piece together these grisly murders, and it turns out he thinks it's a pack of wolves or a pack of werewolves, and it's kind of ambiguous. So definitely give it a shot when you get a chance.
Well, are we going to name Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer?
Yeah, Wolf. Yep. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Another one.
Gold. And of course, Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf is probably the one that might actually win the fight, because Shaggy, as we know, the most powerful character in all of literature, gets turned into a werewolf, making him all the powers of a wolf added to all the powers of sandwiches and cowardice. It's, you can't beat that.
Unstoppable.
All right, so I think we came to an agreement on that?
No, not at all. That is
Okay.
crazy. We're not naming Shaggy as the most powerful werewolf there is.
I mean, well, we can't say American Werewolf in London because he dies just getting shot by a regular shot.
That's true.
Now the Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr. gets killed several times over the movies, but he always comes back. So, and he is Larry Talbot in all of them. So maybe he is the most invincible. He just takes a little while to heal, like the one in Monster Squad.
Well, I think, if we want to go very, very out of left field, there's always Wolverine.
He did. Now Captain America got turned into a wolf and became Cap Wolf for a while, and that was my favorite because he had the shield and everything.
Yeah, but I'm just saying Wolverine grows the claws.
Oh yeah,
super furry.
Yeah,
he heals from everything. I mean,
that's true.
I don't know if he'd be called a werewolf, but I think there's an argument to be said there.
Yeah, I know we talked about the Howling before we went on, and it's it's another one of those great effects, but not a great movie. But Howling 2, I agree, is I think with Callie, titanium is harder to get than silver.
It's true, because
how much titanium do you have lying around your house?
Well, I do have some piercings, although I don't know that they would help me in this situation at all. So
you have some titanium, what'd you say, piercings?
Piercings from ears and other.
Yeah, so how would you
places.
is that going to kill a werewolf? That little bit of titanium? I don't think so.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that would necessarily help me at all. But doesn't Wolverine have titanium claws?
No, his is adamantium.
Adamantium, even stronger than titanium.
But it's not a pure metal. It has to be pure metal.
Oh, okay. Well, are we gonna call this and give this to one of the worst werewolf movies ever made?
I think we're at that controversial stage in life anyway. We've already done that with the vampires. Let's do that with the werewolves. So
okay, the Howling 2 werewolves take the cake.
Sister is a werewolf. Yep.
Yeah.
They did many of that series. There was one that was done in Australia, and they were the marsupials. Marsupial werewolves is crazy. So I don't even want to know how many movies they've made.
I'm going to tell you how many movies
of course, you have the power of Google. What do we got?
Yeah, Howling movies. How many? Okay, I can do this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8.
8. That's crazy. I think the fourth one was with the marsupial.
Were the original. Howling 5, The Rebirth. Howling 6, The Freaks. Howling 7, New Moon Rising, and Howling Reborn.
So Howling 6, New Moon Rising. I wonder if that was actually with Taylor Lautner.
Ha! 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 No, it wasn't. But 1985, 2011 was the last of the Howling movies. They started in 1981, 85, 87, 88, 90, 91, 95, and 2011. We have to, in good conscience, not recommend you binge these.
No, they were straight to video for a reason.
Yeah, so, you won't get your life back.
Really into, yeah.
Yeah, you won't get your, so do not come up to us at a booth and say, I watched all those, because no, we're not even saying you watched the one with the most popular, powerful werewolf. We're just saying that it happened, and so it exists.
Man, I think this was a hell of a ride. I think we've arrived at that. I kind of want to give it to Shaggy, but I think Halloween 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we can honorable mention Shaggy, honorable mention.
Yep.
We'll throw that out there.
Yep. And for those of you who have your favorite werewolf movies, please drop us a line. Let us know where we're wrong, and feel free to come up to conventions and let us know. And
politely let us know.
Please. If we forgot your favorite werewolf movie, definitely let us know. And like, share, subscribe, get your friends in on the art conversation. We'd love that. So
We absolutely love that. We look forward to hearing from you. So I wonder how much controversy this one's going to cause, because
I don't know.
I'm a little nervous where we
even
ended up.
mentioned
I
Howling
actually,
2.
I thought we
might
were
have-
going to end up somewhere else, but now I don't know. I don't know that this is going to go well for us.
So on that note, people, thank you so much. Beware the full moon, and even a man who says his prayer at night and is good in heart can become a moon when the wolf's bane blooms and the lunar star is bright. So thank you so much, gang, and we'll see you on the other side.